Okay, so we're going to search for a topic in OneSearch, which is this search engine right here. OneSearch is technically a database aggregator, which means that it contains dozens of databases within one place that you can search. Then we're going to look at PsycINFO, which is down in selected databases down here. PsycINFO is a subject database, which means that it contains journals from psychology, psychiatry, social work, social sciences, that kind of field or discipline. So it's going to be smaller than OneSearch. OneSearch has a lot more journals from a lot broader places and subject areas than PsycINFO does. So I'm going to go straight to the advanced search, which will take us right into OneSearch. And I'm going to search for disabilities or disabled. You can see it starts to add in terms for me. I am just going to keep disabilities or disabled. Special needs sort of implies education, and that's not exactly what I'm going for. So I'm going to click search, and then you can see it puts the search my keyword search right down below here, as well as the number of articles that it's retrieving. So you can see there's a ton of stuff. So in order to narrow it down a little bit more, I'm going to do employ. I'm going to put an asterisk at the end, so that will get me employ, employed, employment, employer, employee, etc. It's called truncation, and it's a way to add a bunch of different endings to a keyword, mostly so that you don't have to type everything out with the word or. As you can see with disabilities or disabled, I'm using the word or as a way to search for synonyms. So I'm telling OneSearch that I'm okay with articles that use the word disabilities or the word disabled. So I'm going to hit search. And then these two at this moment are completely separate. So there is no overlap between them at the moment. But if I click 1, 2, and use this search with and button, that tells the database that I'm looking for journal articles that contain the words disability or disabled and the word employ or employment, etc. So now we have search 1 and search 2 right here, and you can see the number of results is smaller than either of these two. So it's looking for articles that talk about both topics. However, you can see 205,000 is maybe a little bit more than I'm interested in going through. So down the left-hand side, there are a bunch of different ways that you can limit your search. So I'm going to use the peer-reviewed box. I want just articles that have been peer-reviewed. So it's adding that into my search history here, and you can see the numbers getting smaller. So if I scroll down, let's say I also want articles from the last 5 years. All right, so it's smaller. That's still a huge number, but it's a little bit better. So there are a few other ways you can limit your search results over here. Source types. You can see maybe I just want academic journals. And there are a few other things down here as well. So language, I'm going to say just English. And lastly, databases can be helpful. So sometimes if I find that something is really, really big, sometimes I'll look and see which databases OneSearch is pulling from, and it's ranking them from the highest used. So Academic Search Ultimate is a not particularly subject specific, but smaller than OneSearch database. So maybe I would go there instead because it's interdisciplinary like OneSearch is, but smaller. So it's sort of a way to get other ideas about other databases you can search. But at the top here, You can tell it how you want to sort your results. So right now it's sorting by relevance. You can also sort by date newest, which can be helpful. So I'm going to pick one. Let's choose this one. So now I'm in the database record, and if I look through here, I get the title, authors, English language. Here's the abstract. I can see that my terms have come up quite a bit. They also have a reference list in here. You don't always get that, but that's really helpful. And then if you scroll up, on the right-hand side, you have a whole bunch of different tools. So if this is an article that you want to temporarily save, you can add it to the folder. That just means that it's going to save it for you for a little while. You can add as many articles as you want, up to 500, to the folder at one time. And then if you want to, you can email them all to yourself at once. You can also email this to yourself one individually. You can also click this Cite button, and it will give you APA citation style, and you can highlight this. I would do copy, and then when you paste into a Word document or another word processor, paste special will actually get rid of that gray background. Otherwise, it just puts the gray background in there for you. But you can see that you can get the citation format right here for an article that you're interested in, so that's really handy. You can also use this export button. So we're going to talk about this at the end, but this gets you to a citation manager. So if you're using something like EndNote, Mendeley, or Zotero, which are the three that we recommend, you can see Zotero is listed right here. You can send the citation to Zotero and then sort of collect things as you go. On the left-hand side, there are a couple handy things. So this libkey PDF will get you straight to the PDF. Not every article has a libkey PDF attached right there. If this link does not appear, you want to click on the Find It button. So the Find It button looks exactly the same in all of our databases. It's always yellow. And then that will take you to the electronic copy if we have it. It says read full text at, and then it'll link you right to the PDF. If we do not have a copy of it, it will say not available online, and then below that it says order a copy of this article. And that order a copy is hyperlinked. If you click on that, it will take you right to our interlibrary loan request form, and it fills the form out for you with all this article information that's right here. So you just pretty much need to click submit and say, it asks you for when you don't need the article after. So say it takes us a month to track it down. One, you'll be notified if that's the case. That really isn't ever the case. But in case it is, say, if you get this to me at the end of the semester, I won't need it anymore. You put in a date like that. And then you process the request and you will get an email when your PDF is available. So that's the main stuff on the record page. If you go back to the results list here, you can see this is the folder. Now it's highlighted yellow instead of highlighted blue. So I'm going to say I also want this one and this one. And then if you scroll to the top, there's the folder here. And it has saved my articles. So I can say select all, and then I can choose one of these options over here. Either email them to myself, save it as a file, so that you can save it as a .doc or something along those lines, whichever you're using, and save the abstracts, etc. You can also export again here to a citation manager. So this way you can sort of batch export things. All right, so that's OneSearch. So with that, I'm going to go into PsycINFO. So I go back to the library's homepage, and if I click on PsycINFO here, you can see that it looks the same, it's just different colors. So we get both OneSearch and PsycINFO and a number of other databases from a company called EBSCOhost right here. You might have seen EBSCOhost in your undergrad if your library got a lot of stuff from them. They're pretty common. It just means that the interface is the same. The journals themselves are different. So it looks the same from in front, it is different behind. And I'm going to do the same search. So I'm going to do disabilities or disabled. This time I'm going to type it in right here. So you could either search disabilities or disabled, click search, and then search for employ with an asterisk and do the search with and. That does the same thing as if you type it in straight through here. Either is good. All right, so you can see I have a lot fewer results. So I'm going to limit to peer-reviewed again. And I'm also going to limit to the last 5 years, just so we stay the same. All right. So I have about 1/10 the articles that I had in OneSearch. So that's kind of nice. It's still obviously way more than you would want to skim through to see if they're relevant, but it's a lot more manageable. So one nice thing about PsycINFO, though, is if you scroll down the side again, you see a lot of ways to limit your results. You don't get as many options in OneSearch as you do in PsycINFO. And that's because PsycINFO is a subject database, so it can be more specific. Because OneSearch is pulling from so many different places, you lose a lot of the specificity that you get in a subject database. So let's say that I want to limit the methodology. If I click on Show More, it will show me all the study designs for the articles that have been pulled. So let's say I need a quantitative study. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to click Update. And that has limited me. That's taken out half of them. So that's something. I'm also going to do age. And I'm going to say young adulthood. Maybe I'm interested in the transition from school to adulthood. So now I'm down to 400 and some. So this is a lot more manageable. Let's see. I'm going to pick this one. All right, and you can see that it looks the same down the right side. Down the left side, there's no libkey PDF button. So first I'm going to click on Find It. All right, so here's an example. Not available online. Order a copy of this item. So if I click Order a copy, it asks for my UMID. And it asks for Duo. All right. So this is our interlibrary loan request page. So you can see it's filled out the request form for me. Not needed after. Let's say I pick the end of the month. This right here is specific to some departments in other schools. You do not have a maximum cost that you need to be aware of. So you can just pick any number. I would maybe say like $100. I don't think that anything you'll order will cost $100 in copyright fees, but you never know. So I would pick a high number, throw it in there, and then click Submit. And then 1 to 2 business days, and things will come in for you. All right, so back here, there are a lot of authors on this one. Read through the abstract, see if it makes sense. Subjects, So employment status looks like it might be a subject term that I could use. Maybe employ is too broad. Maybe it's picking up the word employ as a verb in the abstract. So that's something that I could narrow down and maybe say employment status instead. That would knock out a lot of results. But you can see it also gives other information down here that OneSearch doesn't give. So for example, you've got tests and measures. So you can get a quick idea if they're doing quantitative tests, qualitative tests, what they're using, that kind of thing. The methods are listed here. So there's a lot more information in PsycINFO that can help inform you about whether an article is actually relevant or whether it fits what you need for a particular paper. But same idea with the folder. You can say, I like this one, add them to the folder, go back up to the folder, and they'll be there for you. So that's PsycINFO. With that said, let's go back. All right. So I mentioned exporting or getting citations out of these databases. You can email articles to yourself or to someone else. If you're working in a group, this can be really helpful. You can copy and paste the citation by clicking that Cite button. You can export articles to a citation manager, and you can save articles to your folder so that you can do a bunch at one time. So here's just a screenshot of what I just talked about, where you can get particularly helpful information, little tools. One thing to also notice in this particular example is it gives you figures and tables, so that's a pretty quick clue that they did at least some quantitative analysis in that article. All right, next up, citation managers.